Hello, everyone. I apologize for the short delay here. Technical issues, as always. Um, Hi, I'm Casey Durango with Go Keto with Casey, and I talk about how I've lost 97.4 pounds since starting the ketogenic diet and how you might be able to lose weight, improve your health, and regain control of your lives. This is a live broadcast. If you're seeing this outside of the time of 11 a.m. and about 11:30 a.m. Saturday the 24th, you are not seeing it live, but you're welcome to watch. Um, and as always, I have a couple of little things I ask you to bear with me as I share this on a couple of different places. I want to say, first off, and this is going to be a little 15-second quasi plug for an event coming up in March, about which I am quite excited. Go Keto with Casey Roadshow, the first Go Keto with Casey Roadshow. And look what I got yesterday. These are the fancy schmancy name tag holders that attendees will be getting. And this really is fancy. It's got a zippered pouch here. You can fit your phone in. It's got a place for the name tag. On the back, you can put pens or bacon. So actually Terry said that about the bacon, so thank you. So I'm really excited about that, and thank you to my friends at Campus Marketing Specialists, not a sponsor but a friend of the show, and you can find them at campusmarketing.com. They've done a great job, and there's going to be at least one other little goodie that attendees will be receiving that Campus Marketing Specialist has helped with. So enough of that plug. Today I want to talk about hunger. You know, this is something that comes up a lot. What to do about hunger? What if I get hungry? Why is hunger different? On keto, they say it's different. Why is it different? It is different. And the hunger, eating only when hungry. And to step back, for those of you who don't know, the ketogenic diet, as I followed it, this is what I've done. Other people do different things. I keep my carbohydrate intake to 20 grams total, not net, or fewer a day. Very often, many fewer than 20. I eat fatty sources of protein, which means ribeye with the fat and bacon with the fat and chicken with the skin and egg with the yolks. Just protein that comes with its naturally occurring fat. And eat only when hungry. Don't eat if you're not hungry. Then stop when you're satisfied. So that's what the program is. The reason it works is because when you lower your carbohydrate intake sufficiently to a point where your liver is not shooting out glucose for fuel, your body happily switches over to burning ketones or fat for fuel. And if you don't overeat dietary fat, like tons and tons of extra fat, in addition to what comes with your protein, your body will happily burn your body fat. That's why it works. Now, don't eat if you're not hungry. That sounds really basic, and it is. And it should be basic. Don't eat if you're not hungry. Eat when you are hungry. Stop when you're satisfied. And some people might say, well, that would be the same on any dietary regimen. You'll lose weight if you don't eat if you're not hungry. There is a bit of a difference. We have been told over the years by many sources who supposedly knew what they were talking about. Maybe they did know what they were talking about, but did not share the actual truth. To eat, 3 meals a day. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. If you don't eat every 2 or 3 or 4 hours, your metabolism will slow down. If you don't eat enough calories every day, you're going to go into starvation mode. Problematic, in my thinking. For one thing, I believe that referring to starvation mode in a society where we literally are throwing away as much food as we eat, and there are sources of food on every street corner, in hospitals, in school hallways, in office hallways, in our pantries. It's an insult to people who are actually starving, so let's not get it twisted, okay? So what about this hunger thing, though? If you only ate when you're hungry, then yeah, you should lose weight, no matter what you're doing. The difference is, in my experience, is that the hunger, many of us have not felt actual hunger in decades. Our brain might have been telling us to eat when we were burning sugar or glucose for fuel, which most of us have done most of our lives. If you're burning glucose for fuel, because glucose cannot be stored in the blood, and because your brain is the biggest energy hog of resources in your body, it needed a fresh supply of glucose about every 2.5 or 3 hours. Have you ever asked yourself why you can eat a decent, supposedly healthy breakfast of, recommended of, whole grain cereal and a bran muffin and a glass of orange juice, and then in 2 hours you are ravenous? It's not that you're ravenous because your stomach is empty. Probably the food has not even yet processed from your stomach, because it takes about 4 hours for that to happen. But your brain burned through the glucose. It needs more. So your brain tells you to eat, and we associate that with hunger. We think that's hunger. That's being told to eat, your brain telling you to eat. So it's a very different sensation when you're burning ketones or fat for fuel. You've got plenty of calories in your fat cells on board that your body can mobilize, and your brain is happy to burn. So your brain won't be sending you those, better get you something to eat, go down the hallway and steal something out of your coworker's candy drawer, because if I don't get some food pretty soon, someone's going to get hurt. It's a different sensation when you're burning fat for fuel. Hanger is a thing of the past. That's when you're hungry and angry. That's a thing of the past. It's difficult to trust that that will happen, but it will happen if you do this as prescribed. 20 grams of carbohydrate or fewer a day, total, not net. Eat fatty sources of protein. Don't eat if you're not hungry. You do what you want to do. But the people with whom I speak who have been the most successful followed that. And this is including me. Not playing around with fake baked goods. There is a food list. You can find it at my blog, the one I followed. There are many versions of the so-called food list. People have taken it and tweaked it and changed it and cut and pasted it. The one I followed is at my blog, CaseyDurango.com. On that, there are no nuts. Sorry, no nuts. It's no almond flour, because there are no nuts. So almond flours would be made from nuts. There's no MCT oil. There's no coconut oil used for drinking. You can use coconut oil for sauteing, but not for adding to your coffee. The people with whom I speak who have been the most successful have just, excuse me, I always make sure it's not my kids. Not my kids. Don't play. This will work. And what you'll find out after not long, 3-4 days, you realize, holy moly, I could eat anything off of this fantastic food list. I can eat ribeyes and I can have, I can have broccoli with some butter on it, and I can have a hamburger, a cheeseburger with bacon, just no bun. But I don't want it. I'm not hungry. I have no appetite. This happens rather quickly. But even when it happens, for many people, the hardest stumbling block of the protocol, keep your carbs 20 or fewer a day, eat fatty sources of protein, if eat from the food list, And don't eat if you're not hungry. That last part is hard. Doable. But you have to practice. Because most of us have never even, that's an alien concept. Don't eat if you're not hungry. But I haven't eaten all day. It's 2:45 p.m. What do you mean not eat? What if I keel over? That's the other thing, you won't keel over. Assuming you don't have hypoglycemia. You know, some people's situations are different, but for the vast majority, you are not going to keel over. That's the other thing. Being empty and hungry does not equal sudden death. You're going to be okay. But it is a different, it's not only a different sensation. For some of us, it's a brand new sensation, first time in our lives. Or first time in decades that we've been actually empty. Now, here's the fine-tuning part for me. When I first started asking myself, am I eating out of hunger or out of habit, which is a very common thing. You know, you get up and you have breakfast because that's what you've always done. And you're at the office and it's your lunch hour, so you eat lunch because that's what you've always done. And it's dinner time, so you eat dinner because that's what you've always done. But then you find, I don't really want breakfast. Frankly, if I'm honest, I've never liked breakfast. I've always eaten it because I was told breakfast was the most important meal of the day. Who made that up? Probably Dr. Kellogg. So you don't eat breakfast. It's okay. Maybe you don't eat a lunch, or maybe, and who knows what constitutes a meal? As I was chatting with my patrons, thank you patrons, by the way. Another plug for patreon.com. It is the patrons who, frankly, make it possible for me to continue to do what I'm doing right now. So thank you. What constitutes a meal? You know, it used to be a meal was a plate, and it had a, you know, for example's sake, it had a chunk of meatloaf and some potatoes and a yellow vegetable and a green vegetable. And that was a meal. And anything less than that was not a meal. And probably a biscuit on the side. Well, a meal can still be, you know, a ribeye and some green beans. But what if a meal is you standing over the sink, cracking a hard-boiled egg and eating it, and that's your meal? That's okay too. Sometimes that's just right. But when I was transitioning from, okay, I'm going to eat all this great food on this list because I was really enjoying it, and that lasted about a week, and I just couldn't eat so much food when I first started the ketogenic diet, to eating less food because I just couldn't eat that much food anymore. I enjoyed it, but it was just too much food. And then I lost my appetite to a degree. I still ate, but I ate good portions, but just it slowly transitioned downward. Then I needed to ask myself, because I did go through a period of eating out of habit, not out of hunger, and my weight loss slowed to a point of not losing over a course of several weeks. So it turns out that last piece, I was eating out of habit. So I started asking myself, am I doing this because I'm hungry or because it's 10:30 a.m. or 4 p.m., whatever it might be? So I changed that. Weight loss started again. Now I'm pretty near, I'm weight stable, and I pretty much weigh what I want to weigh. I wouldn't mind losing 5 more vanity pounds, but it would be for vanity and, you know, arbitrariness. But now I find that I need to really listen, because it's easy to become slack and just eat not only when you're not hungry, but when you're really not hungry. So for me, what I'm learning is that I can be empty, which is a feeling I've grown to like. I'm not suffering. I'm not trying to, I'm not depriving myself. I like the feeling of being lighter and a little empty. And I can maintain that. We call it peckish in our house. I'm peckish. I could eat. What I found out was that if I ask myself that question, are you hungry? And I go, I could eat. I can maintain that exact same level of peckishness not more intense, for hours. What I had been doing was as soon as I got the I'm peckish, I could eat, I would eat. And now what I find I actually prefer to push the envelope of peckishness. And I'll go and go and go. I don't think about food. It's not to the point where I'm thinking about food, because if I'm starting to have intrusive thoughts of food due to hunger, it's time for me to eat. But I'll go peckish, 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 peckish. Okay, eat now. And what I eat might be really not a very great portion. Not the giant plate with the meatloaf and the green vegetable and yellow vegetable. It might be a chicken thigh. It might be more. I don't deprive myself. I don't deny myself anything. One thing, I'm spoiled, so I don't deny myself anything. And I'm a highly indulged person by my lovely mate. So it could be that this afternoon, about once a month we do this, we go to our favorite Mexican restaurant, get a very keto-friendly meal. If you've seen my Instagram or anything else, you've seen the plates. Delicious. Much more food than I need. And I'll do that. And that might hold me for a day. I mean, really, I'm just really not even going to be peckish for a long time. So this is not about deprivation. This is about listening to our bodies. And that is harder than it sounds. It sounds like it should be straightforward. But we've lost some of that. Was chatting earlier, group chat. It's like there's for years been all this static, noise, drowning out the signals from our bodies about things like hunger. It has been sending us signals that we can't drown out, things like joint pain and depression and skin rashes. Our bodies have been talking to us the whole time. And we've been ignoring those and trying to rely on medications to solve the problem, when very often the problem was the food. It was the initial signal that was drowned out by the static. When do I need to eat? It doesn't have to be 3 meals a day. It doesn't have to be the same thing every day. I am not a big fan of arbitrarily restricting your food as far as times of day or time of day or times a day. Some days I eat more because I need more. Some days I eat less because I need less. And sometimes, who says that every 24 hours we should do the same thing? We don't sleep the same every single night. Our mood is not the same every single day. We don't have exactly the same activity level every day. Listen to your body, and don't think it's easy. It takes practice. Pay attention. But comfort yourself in knowing that even if you're hungry, you won't die right away. And you may find when you go with, push that peckishness envelope, push the peckishness. You might look back and say, wow, you know what? Last week I would have eaten XXXXX, feeling this way. And now I realize I didn't need to eat it then. So we retrain. So if you are keeping your carbohydrate level 20 grams total, not net or fewer, if you are eating from the food list, if you're not overeating dietary fat, and by that I mean coffee with a bunch of oil and fat in it, fat bombs, because those are not required. It's not the amount of fat you eat that gets you into ketosis. It's the absence of carbs. It's not the presence of fat, it's the absence of carbs. Let's put it this way. If you did fast, a true fast, you would go into ketosis. Not a gram of fat around. So it's not, but also no grams of carb. So you would go into ketosis. So if you are not overeating dietary fat, if you are keeping your carbohydrate level appropriate, and you really are not losing weight or inches for a month, ask yourself if you're eating more food than you need. Are you eating when you're not actually hungry? It is a very interesting situation to try to figure out for yourself. Something that should be so instinctive, we've lost. Newborn baby, they don't have to think about it. When they're hungry, they let you know. And then when they're not hungry, they don't want to eat. You know? When they're hungry, they let you know, and when they're not hungry, they're not going to eat. But we have lost that. It's kind of been, we've been given poor information. Let's leave it at that. So I had a talk with a beautiful woman this morning, early. And she made the point, she's doing quite well. She said she's learning to trust her body. And that was a big leap for her because she had lost faith in her body. You start to feel cursed. You know, you try to do the right thing. You try to follow the dietary guidelines that we've been given. And then you struggle. And you don't lose weight. And you assume it's your fault. It's just me. I'm a screw up. I'm a loser. I'm a failure at this. Why has my body betrayed me? I'm doing this, what they told me to do. So you lose faith in your own body. And she's regained trust in herself. Let's do that. Well, let's trust our bodies. The mechanisms have been around a really long time. Even before there was a food pyramid, our bodies were doing their job. Before there was agriculture, 10,000 years ago, our bodies did their jobs. Do we think that people 12,000, 15,000 years ago sat around perseverating over how much food they should eat? No, they ate when they were hungry, when they had it. The rest of the time they laid around, made other 12,000 year ago people. They got the job done, right? Our bodies know what to do. Our bodies are designed to eat when hungry and not when satisfied, and to use fatty sources of protein to get the nutrients we need. Carbohydrate is not an essential nutrient. But the hunger, that's a toughie with Jack Duffy. Don't associate how you might feel hungry once you are burning fat for fuel with the way you had hunger when you were burning sugar for fuel. It is a different thing. You are not going to be desperate to eat. It won't be hunger. You don't have to worry. Do we do this? Do we say, okay, the temperature, it's been nice, it's been 72, it's great temperature outside, but today it's going to be lower than, it's going to be 68. It's going to be a little bit chillier. Ooh, it's going to be chillier. So I'm going to put on a hooded parka and snow boots because God forbid I should be a little bit chilly for a minute. No, what do? You put on a long sleeve shirt instead of a sleeveless one, or you take a little sweater with you. Don't anticipate trauma from hunger if you're burning fat for fuel. So, I think I've said about all I can say about that topic. Does anyone, I see that comments are coming in, so I'm so happy that you guys speak to each other and answer each other's questions and everything. Okay, Pamela Hunt writes, oh yes, thinking I would be desperate to eat. You don't become desperate to eat. Even when I'm past peckish and I'm hungry, it's not an emergency. Okay? My blood sugar is not dropping. My brain is not screaming at me to eat because it's percolating along just well. Still plenty of fat on board. Even a very lean person, a low body percent of fat, a low fat body percent person has tens of thousands of calories of energy on board. There are 9 calories of energy for every gram of fat, as opposed to 4 calories of energy for every gram of carbohydrate. So if you've got some fat on board, we all do, you've got tens of thousands of calories of energy. It will not become a brain emergency. If you run out of glucose, this is why endurance athletes, marathoners, cyclists, have feeding stations every 45 minutes or so because they can't store glucose in their blood. They're burning glucose for fuel unless they're keto adapted, which many are now. It's many extremely successful athletes are singing the praises of the ketogenic diet. But if they're burning glucose for fuel, can't be stored. They've expended a lot of it because they're cycling up L'Alpe d'Huez or they're running a marathon. If they miss one of those feeding stations and their brain does not have the glucose it requires to function, the brain will shut things down. It says, okay, legs, stop. Muscles, let's rank this down because I need some fuel or I'm turning off the lights. That's a brain emergency. You don't have a brain emergency when you're burning fat for fuel because you've got tens of thousands of calories on board. Some of us, hundreds of thousands of calories on board. So the hunger is different. Test it yourself. Doesn't have to be a big thing. It doesn't have to be 40 days and 40 nights. Push the peckishness envelope and see what happens. Stave it off with a boiled egg. Okay, y'all are talking. Okay, I'm so happy for it. Does anyone have any? Okay, Shannon Mortimer, can I talk about sodium? Now, popped by. I don't know that I can. Someone asked about sodium. I'm not sure what the question was. Okay, particularly in the first days, what some people call the keto flu, and they think, oh, it's the lack of carbs. No. It is almost certainly the fact that when you reduce your carbohydrate intake and you start transitioning over to burning fat for fuel, and your body will flush out a lot of water. Your kidneys will flush out a lot of water. And this goes on throughout the whole process. I mean, you tend to flush out water. With the water goes sodium. Sodium is the queen of the electrolytes. So because they're electrolytes, they're electrically charged. So the sodium brings along with it when it flushes out magnesium and potassium. Magnesium deficiency, which is more common than potassium deficiency. Potassium is a rarer thing, but it can happen. They control muscle and nerves. And so you will start to feel lethargic, maybe tingly, your head hurts. Maybe even a little, again, make sure it's not my kids. Nope, not my kids. So what do? You can get a bunch of products they buy, but really the easiest fix, take added sodium, just normal sodium. You can get it in the form of kosher salt or Himalayan pink salt or fancy salts or whatever, 5 grams a day, which the 5 grams includes the food you eat. So not 5 grams on top of your already salty food. The cheapest, easiest fix, and I do that to this day, I've already done it today, is a bouillon cube, a Knorr bouillon cube in water. I add extra spices because I like it. That'll give you about 1.1 grams of sodium. I might do it again later on today, but my food tends to be heavily salted anyway when I do eat. That is the easiest fix. If you have sodium sensitive hypertension, be careful. Don't do that willy-nilly. Do that under supervision. But for most people, it is perfectly okay. I see someone talking about the mental. This is unbelievable. Demetria, who's coming to the roadshow, Triglycerides went from 394 to 97 in 5 months of keto. Let me tell you about the roadshow, which is going to be fun. Not only will Dr. Eric Westman and Jackie Eberstein be there, and I'll be there, of course. Part of the program is going to be those attendees who wish to share. Nobody needs to share. No one's going to be put on the spotlight to share their stories. And Demetria, I have a feeling you are not a shrinking violet, so I'm assuming that you are going to share that story. Marianne Lebrecht just finished a beef bouillon. Yay! So, I am scrolling. I can't see anymore. Okay, does anyone have anything else? I say this every time. My husband laughs at me every time. I'm going to start wrapping it up. And then 25 minutes later, but I am going to start wrapping this up. Does anyone have anything they want to share, a question? If you are in the area and want to go to the Durham support group meeting, that will be March 6th at the Duke Hilton. It will probably not be in the same room last month's was, but we'll get that information out. That's March 6th. The program starts at 6:30. We try to wrap it up by 8. Dr. Eric Westman of Heal Clinics will be there, and Duke University. And then the Go Keto with Casey Roadshow, you can see about that at my blog, which is caseydurango.com. And that is March 16th through the 18th. There will be social opportunities to hang with each other, with Dr. Westman, with Jackie Eberstein, and with me. It's going to be fun, guys. If nothing else, it's going to be fun. Donna Murmury, lunch meat. You know, people eat what works for you. Some people say, oh no processed foods, the nitrates, the nitrites. That's kind of a, don't worry about it. You know what? If that's what you want to eat, eat. I am not a purist when it comes to that. If it's on the food list, you can eat it. If it's not on the food list, try not to eat it. And by the way, about the food list, let's not worry that list to death. There are some foods that are fine that are on the list because the list can only fit so much on it. Let's use a little common sense here. Let's teach people to fish. If it's a animal product, it's probably allowed. If it's a starchy vegetable, it's not on the list. Fruit is not on the list. Berries in very limited quantities are, but they're not technically fruit. They're berries. But they're not unlimited. But find what works for you. Some people can't do dairy. Some people have to limit cheese. Some people, it always gets me when someone says, how am I going to do this? I don't like bacon. Don't eat bacon. None of the foods are required. There's no minimum number of veggies. There are maximum numbers of veggies. Let me repeat this. There's no minimum number of vegetables. There are maximum amounts of vegetables. Why maximum? Because essentially all the carbohydrates you're going to get, for the most part, are going to be in the vegetables. So if you eat unlimited vegetables, guess what? You're not going to keep to 20 grams or fewer a day. Total, not net. So essentially, it's about a cup, if you want to eat the vegetables, a cup or less of non-starchy vegetables a day, and about 2 cups, the size of your fists, of leafy greens, maximum a day. So that means 2 or less. Some days I don't eat any vegetables. Some days I do. Someone asked about thinning hair. My hair it's not uncommon for hair to shed more for any dietary change. If you go low fat, if you go low carb, it's not unusual for your shedding to increase if you have physical trauma, emotional trauma, mental trauma. If you've been under anesthesia, your hair sheds. When things balance out, it comes back. It's not permanent. Although some people's hair will thin no matter what happens, no matter what they're doing. Someone asked about gas. All I can tell you is that it kind of cleared up. from me. Sonia Flores, had doctor appointment and my pressure was normal and my cholesterol was down 20 points. Doctor was very proud of my numbers. Good, yay keto. She said, keep following keto, and lost 8 pounds. The tide, it slowly is turning. When the doctors are saying, okay, whatever you're doing, keep it up. That's what we need. Down 5 pounds from last Friday. Okay, I am going to wrap it up. I do want to remind and say thank you to everyone. The Go Keto with Casey Roadshow. I'm so excited, I can't tell you. It's going to be a good venue. There's a wine reception the Friday night before. There's a lunch at a Mexican restaurant after. Those are separate things, not included with a registration price. And then possibility for a brunch on Sunday morning for those who want to stay. People are coming from, get this, Oregon, California, Oklahoma, Minnesota, New York, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, West Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, and Florida so far. Wow, I'm excited. And thank you to all you patrons. If you are interested in becoming a patron, I do more content for patrons than I do anything else. I do every weekday morning video snippets, we call them. And that's what you get to see what I really look like with no coffee and no makeup and bedhead. And then there are different rewards for different levels of patronage. So that's at patreon.com/GoKetoWithCasey. Now I'm going to look at some of these comments before I close up. Losing the baby weight. Nice too now, yeah. I've lost 11 in less than 2 months. Beautiful. Dimitri, you're a great cheerleader. Thank you. Can't thank you guys enough. Denise Green says, can't thank you enough. I can't thank you guys enough. And listen, really, honestly and true, try not to overthink this. Try not to get bogged down in the minutia. There was a tussle on the Keto After 40 with Casey group about, people were very invested in whether you should have heavy cream or half and half. People left the group over it. I got nasty personal messages about it. Don't overthink this. And do what works for you. There are many paths that can lead to the same destination. If something's not working for you, don't do it. We've done that enough. We've been told what to do enough, and it's not worked, and we keep right on doing it. Don't do it if it doesn't work. But the fallback position of the basic program almost always does work. 20 grams of carbohydrate or fewer a day. Total grams, not net. Eat fatty sources of protein. Get the food list. And if it's not on there, don't eat from it. And don't eat if you're not hungry. No supplements required. No shakes. No pills. No kits. No processed keto foods, because keep in mind, they can call anything keto. It's a non-regulated term. Okay? Be careful. There's one product, the only product I would endorse, even though I don't use it because I don't need it because I work from my kitchen, would be Adapt bars. In a pinch, to help with compliance. They're not going to get you into ketosis. And the owner of the company says, eat real food. This is to eat just to remain compliant. Be wary of processed foods. Be wary of anything that says keto on the package. Be careful. Okay, I'm signing out now. I really appreciate y'all showing up. I will try to keep on doing this on Saturdays as long as people keep showing up and I've got the time. And be kind to yourself and listen to your body. Our bodies are smart. We get mad at them, but they are smart. And as I've said before, my friend Cindy said she liked it. Our partners might lie to us. Our kids might lie to us. And bankers might lie to us. But our bodies won't lie to us. They tell the truth. Okay. Hey, Kimmy. Hey, Kimmy. Was everything all right? Was everything okay with your dad? Okay. We'll see if Kimmy can keep us posted. Okay. Thanks, guys. Hasta la vista, baby. Auf Wiedersehen. Auf Wiedersehen. Adios. Ciao, Bella.